What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Stadium Drive Week 10 here at Jack Anderson Stadium here in Dresden. Will Ford, Aaron Sprague. Aaron, last week it was the biggest game of the season, Tri-Valley Sheridan, but this one might be even bigger because the MVL Big School Division Championship is on the line tonight. Tri-Valley Scotties are hosting the John Glenn Muskies, and if Tri-Valley wins, they get the MVL Big School Division title outright, but if John Glenn wins, then it becomes a three-way share of the title between John Glenn, Tri-Valley, and then the Sheridan Generals.
Yeah, it's a great matchup, Will, here in Dresden tonight at Jack Anderson Stadium. This is what it's all for. There's so many big Week 10 games across the state. This is going to be one of them with the league title up for grabs. Like Will mentioned, big performance last week out of the Scotties. Really came through in the second half, overcame that halftime deficit. Or actually, no, they were winning at halftime, went down the third quarter and came back and won that game. A huge win to put themselves in a great position here to win the championship outright. But John Glenn, what a story, Will. Last year they had 2 wins.
Yeah.
2 wins. They have now had 8 with a chance at 9. I already have a playoff spot locked up. And they really returned. They only had a few seniors last year. I think it was 5. So they returned a good nucleus of kids. But still, from 2 wins to 8, possibly 9 wins, and a chance for a championship in Week 10, that's all you can ask for as a shot. And they got a shot at the top dogs tonight.
And the most impressive thing, too, is that over the last couple of weeks, they've been without their quarterback, Noah Winland. He just came back last week. He's battling a shoulder injury, his right throwing shoulder.
Right.
John Glenn's primarily a running football team, so he doesn't throw it a whole lot, but if they do want to throw it, they're kind of limited now in what they can do offensively. But for them to find themselves in this position, to still have a share at the title, given, like when you lose your quarterback, I mean, it's usually pretty tough, especially when Noah accounts for so much offensively running the football. He had 3 rushing touchdowns last week battling through the injury. He accounts for so much, and when you lose your quarterback, a lot goes up in the air. And for them to continue winning football games with their outstanding defense, they've only given up the most points they've given up in a football game this year is 14 points to Sheridan. So their defense has been outstanding, and they're going to need to be outstanding again tonight against the Tri-Valley offense.
Yeah, steady. I think that's what you could say for the John Glenn team, especially the defense. They're steady on offense. They don't do what they can't do. They know who they are.
Yes.
And I think that's what's allowed them to stay in games. That's a credit to the coaching staff. That they know the tools they have, and they're doing what they can best do to give themselves a chance to win in these games. Keep in mind, Noah Winland is basically a 4-year varsity player. He saw time as a freshman quarterback.
He did.
Broke his collarbone, his throwing shoulder, in a playoff game, I believe, his freshman year. Broke it again early his sophomore year.
Yeah.
Last year was his first year as a starter, split some time, and then this year he's pretty much been the full-time starter with the knowledge to run an offense and make good decisions as a senior to run this team. So just looking forward to this matchup. I really think Coach Edwards is one of the better coaches in the MVL. He always has his team ready to go. He has a great fire and passion. And then on defense, Coach Bendel does a great job on defense, and Coach Bendel's son is one of the top linebackers in the conference, really makes them go. So I think it's going to be a pretty solid matchup. And with senior night tonight for Tri-Valley, going to be a little emotional and coming off that big win. I'm wondering if there's going to be a little bit of a hangover in this first half.
First quarter, second quarter, just kind of a slow start potentially, just trying to come down emotionally from such an emotionally charged victory. Close victory against Sheridan, and now championship on the line tonight. There's also playoff positioning at stake as well, so there's a lot on the line. But Aaron, we're also featuring a game tonight in the OCC in Columbus. The OCC Ohio title is on the line tonight. The Gahanna Lincoln Golden Lions and Pickerington North Panthers, both 9-0, so a chance to be not only 10-0, but you win your league and then be number 1 seed in the Division I Region 3 playoffs as well. It's just unbelievable stuff is on the line in Columbus tonight, too.
Yeah, tonight we are fortunate to be at that game. Sold out. Over 10,000 people expected at the new Gahanna Lincoln Stadium, which just opened this year. Like you said, 9-0, 9-0. 2 of the top 5 teams in Division I.
Oh, my gosh.
It is going to be electric. Our guy Sean will be there capturing all the highlights, so follow us for scores there. Really excited there. A couple other big games we're covering tonight. Heath hosts Johnstown, both undefeated in their conference, for a chance for the league title there in Heath at Swank Field. And also Hamilton Township going for an undefeated season, playing at Logan Elm for the Mid-State League Buckeye. Huge upset over Bloom Carroll last week.
Right.
And Granville looking for an LCL three-peat tonight as they lead. Well, I think they already got a share wrapped up, but looking for it outright, trying to go also 10-0 as they are at Watkins Memorial. at the top of the league.
What's hilarious about that too is I talked to Wes Schroeder in the summer on the Shot Callers podcast, and he was like, people are saying this might be the year to get Granville. Well, Granville's getting everybody. That's what they're doing, and they're 9-0. That's an unbelievable story, I think.
They did. And they've played well all season. Their young kids have really grown up. Last week, Beckett Long was insane at quarterback. So many great bombs he was throwing to Verasso down the sideline as they knocked off Licking Valley. Big. And then another 10-0 team we cover, trying to go 10-0, 9-0, trying to go 10-0, the Garaway Pirates at rival Ridgewood. Always an epic game in West Lafayette. They're going to have to go through the Generals to get to 10-0. But right now, I believe, looking back at it, Martin RPI, which rates basically the toughest, the best wins of the season, strength of schedule, all that stuff, Pirates are number 1. In Division 5.
Right.
So they are one of the best teams in the state, one of the best defenses in the state. We'll be there as well. But, man, you had interviews with Coach Edwards, Coach West.
Yes, we'll get to those
Coach
later
Ward.
in the show, but we're going to start with that OCC Ohio matchup with Coach Ward of Gahanna-Lincoln and then Nate Hillerich of Pickerington North as well. We'll start with Coach Hillerich, but before we do, we want to thank our sponsor, MaxEffortMuscle.com. Best tasting protein in the game right here. Great stuff. We love what they do. They love what we do, and it's a great symbiotic relationship that we have with them. So,
and what about the new merch, Will?
Oh, I know. We have yet to acknowledge this yet, but it's almost Halloween. We had to get in. We had to get into the Halloween spirit with some Halloween merch, and then we had to break out the neon green toboggans with it as well. But some trainers for Tri-Valley were like, hey, when is that dropping? When are you selling that?
Well, if you want us to sell these, drop a comment for us and let us know to post it. And speaking of merch, we got some championship and playoff merch dropping tonight after these games are over, so be on the lookout for that.
Yes, definitely. But let's hop into these interviews. We'll start in the OCC Ohio with the game between Gahanna-Lincoln and Pickerington North. And here is head coach Nate Hillerich getting ready for what's going to be a jam-packed, electric game. 10-0 on the line, league title on the line, number 1 seed on the line. Here's Nate Hillerich here on Stadium Drive. All right, we're here with head coach Nate Hillerich of Pickerington North High School ahead of Week 10, 9-0 going up against Gahanna, who's also 9-0. So the battle of undefeateds going into the last week of the season. Coach, I really appreciate your time today joining the show and battling Gahanna for the OCC Ohio title. You have number 1 seed implications on the line. Both teams 9-0. Describe the feeling of being 9-0 and kind of the journey to this point, the adversity you faced. But also the exciting nature of the chance to be 10-0, be a number 1 seed going into the playoffs, and also, win a league title at the same time.
Yeah, winning is really, really hard. So when you look back and you feel like we're 9-0 right now, proud of our team, proud of our players, especially with the schedule we play. We went down and played a GCL, big Catholic school team, Cincinnati Elder, Week 1, and beat them at their place. Played Upper Arlington, played our rival Pick Central, played a state championship team from Pittsburgh. So to be 9-0 is really, really hard. And I know it's the same just for Gahanna as well. So, a lot of people have been circling this game early in the year and knew this was going to be a big matchup, and we're excited.
Now, your quarterback, Landon O'Connell, he's a senior, 3-year starter. He's got all the measurables. He's 6'4", 215. He's just a big, strong kid. Last week, 153 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's just kind of seen it all for your team, and he's just been so good. Talk about, I guess, his development through the 3 years that he's been a starter for you, and then how well he's played this year as your team's 9-0. And like I mentioned, a chance to be 10-0. Number 1 seed, and just the leadership that he's shown to get your team to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's ever anything that can be in place of experience. He's played a lot of football games. So Landon, as a sophomore, we won 9 games, went to the regional semifinals. He beat Pickerington Central for the first time in a long time here. But back then, we really weren't asking him to do as much. It was hand the ball off, don't turn it over. Where now, as a senior, he controls the team. We like to get the ball to our skill players. We got a lot of really good receivers. He's been really accurate, takes care of the football. So he's going to have to play well and lead our team on Friday night if we're going to win.
Now, this Gahanna football team, I mean, they've been rock solid all year, just as you have. But offensively, like Dior Hubbard, 165 yards last week, 2 touchdowns. He's been doing that all year, running the football. Brennan Ward, 20 of 28, really efficient, 382 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jalen Scott had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. And those 3 guys, it's just been kind of a 3-headed monster all year for that Gahanna offense. What do you do to? I mean, you're obviously not going to like stop them. I mean, they're going to score probably. You guys are going to score. It's going to be a battle. But what do you do to just try to contain them, limit them offensively to go out there and win this football game and get to 10-0?
Yeah, and I think their defense is really good too. So they get a lot of stops to get the ball back. So obviously they're an incredible football team. They've returned kicks for touchdowns. Not a lot of weaknesses for them, but I do think I think one of the keys, if you're going to find a way to slow them down, is you got to stop Dior, their running back. I think he's maybe one of the best players in Ohio. He's got the ability to score anytime he touches the ball. So I think being able to stop him or slow him down is going to be a key for us.
Now, just last question for you, Coach. Just describe the energy of you and your football team as you know going into this week. It's the biggest game of the year, obviously, because so much is decided in this game. You know, winning the league championship. There's still a battle for the number 1 seed, and obviously, like Hilliard Bradley is still in the conversation for the number 1 seed as well. Like, just describe the energy, the excitement, the emotion going into Week 10, knowing that like what's around the corner for your team.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's nothing better when you talk about 2 teams being undefeated. You're playing for the league championship. The buzz around the school. The game sold out on a Tuesday. I think their stadium will expect. I'd assume probably 10,000 people at the game. It's going to be one of those that every kid dreams of playing in. You hope to play in a game like this. So excited for our team. There's a buzz at practice. There's not much a coach you have to say in a game like this. So we're just excited to go out there on Wednesday to get better and ready to play on Friday night.
I'm so excited to see how this game turns out. There's so much on the line, league title, number 1 seed, playoff implications. It just does not get any bigger in Ohio as far as football goes with this game right here. But Coach, I really appreciate your time today joining our show, and best of luck this Friday, but also in the playoffs the rest of the way, and go make another deep run, man.
Absolutely.
Nate Hillerich, Pickerington North, the Panthers here on Stadium Drive. I mean, that's just going to be such a good game. And Landon O'Connell, their quarterback, he's just been so good all year. And you heard Coach Hillerich talk about it, just coming in as a sophomore. Obviously, they had some playoff success, but he wasn't asked to do too much. It was a lot of just hand the ball off and then shorter throws, don't put the ball in harm's way. But as he has grown in this system and gotten more and more control of the offense. I mean, he's just letting it rip, and just such a big, strong kid too. Like 6'4", 215. That's exactly what you want in a quarterback. And he's going up against the toughest test of the season against this Gahanna Lincoln Golden Lions defense that has just been so good. But let's talk about the Golden Lions because they have just been so good in all 3 phases of the game this year. Offensively, like the guys I mentioned with Coach Hillerich, Dior Hubbard really just leads the way, does so much in the run game for them. And then Brennan Ward and Jalen Scott, that 3-headed monster on offense. The defense has been absolutely terrific, but they're scoring special teams touchdowns as well. And when you're doing that as a team, that's when you know you're pretty special and pretty dangerous. And so head coach Bruce Ward talks about how his team has been able to be so dominant in all 3 phases of the game because it's clearly something that's very difficult to do. You're either usually really good at offense, really good at defense, or you're okay at special teams, average. But, I mean, he's just dominating in all 3 phases. And Pickerington North is really doing pretty much the same thing as well, being 9-0. But Coach Ward, it just seems like such a level-headed, calm guy who just does not get over emotional about anything. I asked him about like playing in front of 10,000 people, what it's going to be tonight, and he's just like, to be honest with you, I don't even know that those people are there. Like, you just don't pay attention to it because you're just so locked into the game. But let's get into head coach Bruce Ward. The Gahanna-Lincoln Golden Lions 9-0. They're beating teams by an average margin of 25 points per game, so almost 4 touchdowns. They're not only they're scoring, but they're stopping teams as well. But they've got a tough test tonight against Landon O'Connell and the Panthers. Here's head coach Bruce Ward on Stadium Drive. Thanks so much for joining us live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, we're here with head coach Bruce Ward of the Gahanna-Lincoln Golden Lions, 9-0 going into Week 10, and it's honestly the biggest week of the year because there's so much on the line. But, Coach, I really appreciate your time today. 9-0, like I said, an average margin of victory this season, 25 points per game. So you're beating teams by almost 4 touchdowns. Obviously, the offense with your quarterback Brennan and running back Dior Hubbard and wide receiver Jalen Scott leading the way offensively. Your defense has been more than solid this year. Special teams, you're scoring special teams touchdowns as well. How have you been able to be so solid through all 3 phases of the game and be 9-0?
I think part of it is just consistency. Consistency between our kids, consistency in coaching. Obviously we have the Jimmies and Joes, but we do a good job of scheming up things and practicing hard. And that's a credit to the kids and their dedication and commitment and discipline to be able to do these things.
Now, taking on Pickerington North this Friday, they're also 9-0. They've had a very, very good year, and their quarterback, Landon O'Connell, 3-year starter. He's been much improved over the last couple of years. You beat them, you handled them with relative ease last year, but it seems like they're a much improved team this year, obviously being 9-0. But how are you going to make him uncomfortable this Friday? Just trying to get to him, make him get rid of the ball a little bit quicker than he wants to, so that way he's not able to read your defense and just all in all, just kind of shut down their offense and shut him down a little bit.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you're going to shut that offense down. They're
right.
Pretty good. Well.
Right.
And you said it. Our goal is trying to make him uncomfortable, make him get rid of the ball quick, and those are some of the things that we hope to be able to accomplish tomorrow night. But they're good. Honestly, we beat them last year, and I expect them to be better than that game was last year. Obviously they're going to come in wanting to revenge that game as well. But they're good, and I don't know if we'll be able to shut them down or pressure him, but that will be the key. I think if you can get some pressure on him and make him make quicker decisions, then hopefully we'll have a shot at having success.
Now, talk about the magnitude of this game, because obviously the OCC Ohio title is on the line. Whoever wins this game wins the league title. But then there's also number 1 seed implications as well with you and Pick North, and then Hilliard Bradley's in the conversation as well. So it's really just a lot up for grabs this week. So there's a ton of magnitude and pressure surrounding this game, but talk about the excitement of you and your guys, how you feel. Like, obviously you're 9-0 at this point, so you're feeling very good and confident about the way you've been playing, but there's just so much energy and so much magnitude around this game. Talk about the way you and your guys are feeling about this game and then moving forward as you get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, first and foremost, obviously it's good for Central Ohio football. Just kind of showcase that there is good football in Central Ohio. It's probably some of the best in the state. Of course, I'm biased about that, but that's first and foremost. OCC, Ohio. Last year we were represented with 2 teams in the regional final between us and New Albany. Now we have OCC Ohio with 2 9-0 teams, 2 of the top teams in the state going at it Week 10. Hilliard Bradley's part of the OCC as well. So, it's just, the magnitude of it is great for high school football, OCC football, and Central Ohio football. But obviously it's a big game. It's sold out, and it's going to be 2 good teams with 2 well-coached teams going at it. And I think that's the beauty of it, And hopefully the winner in this game has a shot at number 1 spot in our region. But Hilliard Bradley's playing well and has that spot as we talk now, but we'll see what happens, and it's going to be a good game, exciting game. I think it's 2 equally matched teams going at it, and it'll be a battle.
Now, I talked to the Pick North head coach Nate Hillerich yesterday, and he said sold out, could be 10,000 people. What's it like playing in front of that many people? The bright lights, Friday night, 2 9-0 teams, chance to go 10-0, but all of this on the line as well. What's it like playing in front of all those people?
Honestly, I've said this all week. I don't realize that many people are there. You're so focused on the field and what's going on the field, that you really don't realize it until, like I said this before, we've had a tremendous support over the last 2 years, really all my whole tenure here. But our first home game to open the stadium this year, it was pretty packed, and you don't really realize it until you look back and watch the film, or you look at pictures from the game, and you look and you're like, holy cow, like it was jam packed. But I think the energy on the field will be just as amazing as it is off the field this week. Again, a lot at stake, a lot on the line, bragging rights, all that stuff's on the line. So it's going to be an electric atmosphere. It's going to be jam-packed. It's going to be exciting for both teams. And I'm sure that both teams want to play at their best and put on a show and show what they're about this year. And it's going to be a great game.
We're super excited to see how this thing turns out. The 2 9-0 Titans going at it, and so much on the line. Coach, I really appreciate your time today, but best of luck this Friday and the rest of the way in the playoffs. Go make another deep run, man. And yeah, thanks so much for the time today.
Doesn't get any bigger. Central Ohio football, and the two best teams, 2 of the 3 best teams in Division I are going at it tonight for the OCC Ohio Division title. A number 1 seed potentially, but Hilliard Bradley is firmly in the mix as well. And I believe right now Gahanna is currently ranked number 1, and if they were to win, they would stay number 1. If Pick North wins, I don't know if they would leapfrog Bradley and then, of course, Gahanna or not. It's going to be very interesting to see, number 1, how the game plays out, first of all, and then how does the seeding work out after that. That's going to be a fantastic game. 2 of the best teams in Division I going at it tonight. And 2 Titans, and so much on the line, so much magnitude, and 10,000 people. I mean, obviously in the Muskingum County area, MVL, you don't have that many fans at stadiums. So that would be a pretty awesome and just energy, just such a charged environment. And we're looking forward to seeing how that one turns out. But let's get into the game tonight here at the Jack, because there's a lot on the line here too. What's at stake? Well, it's the MVL Big School Division title, and if Tri-Valley wins tonight, they win the title outright. It is theirs. It's theirs to keep for 2023. But if John Glenn were to win, they would then, and it would then be a 3-way share of the championship between the Muskies, the Scotties, and the Sheridan Generals. And I mean, that would be absolute pandemonium. Coach Cam West of the Scotties talked after the game against Sheridan after their win 28-17. He said, trying to teach my kid how to share, but I don't want to share this championship. I want to go out there and win it. And for John Glenn, I mean, for them to be in this position, just objectively speaking, when you lose your quarterback for a couple weeks, it changes the way you run your offense a little bit. I mean, obviously, John Glenn runs the football. They don't stray away from their identity. But Noah Winland is he's such a skilled runner of the football that it does change the way you do things a little bit. And so for them to continue winning football games, their defense playing well all season long. I think they forced 3 turnovers in the first half last week against Philo in their 37-12 win. They've just been rock solid all season long. And I'm so excited to see how this game, plays out tonight here at Jack Anderson Stadium. We might have some rain coming through here in a few minutes, and so if you see me dip out of this tent, just run away from you to go grab a camera that we have out right now. I apologize, but that's just, it is what it is here in Week 10. The weather starting to get a little colder, a little bit of rain. Hopefully no snow. Hopefully we don't see any of that yet. But let's talk to head coach Matt Edwards of the John Glenn Muskies. Talk about the injury status of Noah Winland, what he's battling through, the journey to this point, getting a little bit of help to find themselves in this position to have a chance at a 3-way share of the MVL Big School Division Championship. But then how do you stop this Tri-Valley offense? Jaden Wallace, 30 carries, 143 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns last week against Sheridan. How do you stop him? And then Max Lyle has been so efficient throwing the football. And he did throw 2 interceptions last week, but he's been so good, and it's just going to be so interesting to see how they decide to play Tri-Valley and their offense. But here's head coach Matt Edwards of the Muskies here on Stadium Drive. We'll come back for a few minutes after that, and then we'll talk to head coach Cam West of the Scotties. So here is Matt Edwards.
All right, we're here with head coach Matt Edwards of the John Glenn Muskies going into Week 10. Can't believe it's the final week of the regular season, Coach, but I really appreciate your time. And this week, it's kind of crazy because you're taking on Tri-Valley. The league title's on the line, but it's weird. Like, if you win this game, there's a 3-way tie for the MVL Big School division between you, Tri-Valley, Sheridan. It's pretty crazy how this has all unfolded over the last couple of weeks. But like, your quarterback Noah Winland went down a couple weeks ago, and so you had some other guys step in and lead your offense. Did you when he went down a few weeks ago, did you expect that you would be in this position at the end of the year? Obviously, he comes back last week, and like, did you expect you'd be in this spot with a chance at a share at the MVO title, knowing that your quarterback was out for a couple weeks?
Obviously, anytime you lose your quarterback, that's usually a tough one to overcome. Fortunately, Jake Johnson has played for us, throughout the course of this year and last year at spots, and we're also using Owen Edwards a little bit. So we knew our team was built differently, and when you can play good defense and our running game has been solid all year, you're able to give the quarterback some friends, and you don't ask a whole lot of them. So both those kids have stepped in and done a nice job of giving us a chance to win football games, and fortunately, we've been able to do that.
Now, what do you think of Noah Winland's status as he's come back from the injury? 3 rushing touchdowns last week. So obviously he seems to look just as good as he did before the injury. But how do you evaluate, I guess, his health going into Week 10 playoffs and just everything the last couple of weeks that he's battled?
Yeah, he's still not healthy. He's battling for us right now through some pain. It's his throwing shoulder, which obviously makes it very difficult when you're a quarterback. So he's been able to help us in other ways on defense and kind of as a running back, but he's still definitely battling through some injury right now.
Now, your defense hasn't allowed more than 14 points all season, but this Tri-Valley offense is probably the most talented offense that you face. This Jaden Wallace kid is just unbelievable. He has 20 total touchdowns on the year. He had over 100 yards rushing last week, touched the ball 30 times. He really is the driving force of the Tri-Valley offense, and it just accounts for so much. How do you stop a guy like him? And along with Max Lyle, who's a really efficient thrower of the football and doesn't turn it over much.
Yeah, it's exciting for our defense, to have this opportunity to face extremely talented offense that they have, running game, passing game, both of it. We relied on our defense the entire year. We knew going into the year it was going to be our strength, and they've proven for 9 straight weeks that we think they're a pretty good unit, and this will be the biggest challenge on the biggest stage. And this is why we do this. Our kids are excited. Coach Ben and his staff have done a great job of getting them ready, and we're going to go up to Dresden on Friday night and put what we think is our best unit on the field against maybe the best offense, like you said, that we've seen all year. And it's just going to be exciting. We're really looking forward to it.
Now, offensively, obviously, you're primarily a running football team. That's your game, but throwing the football might be a bit of a challenge. Just given Tri-Valley's defense is pretty good. They held Caden Sheridan, one of the better throwers of the football in the MVL, to just 7 of 22 for 77 yards. But then you also have the injury to Noah's his throwing shoulder. So obviously that makes things problematic. But how do you approach this game offensively, given the injury, given how good Tri-Valley's defense was against the pass last week against Sheridan, and just all of those factors involved?
The answer is to be who we are. We know who we are offensively. We've relied on our tailbacks and our running game throughout most of the year. We rotate 3 kids back there, plus our quarterbacks have all 3 of those guys also run. So, we try to spread the ball around in terms of the running game. And then, based on what the defense does, if they give us the opportunity to throw some balls, we will. But, we're not changing our game plan Week 10. We know who we are. Our identity is out there. We're not going to trick anybody. We're going to show up and try to run the football. And then, if they give us chances in the passing game, we'll take those.
Now, what's your level of excitement just going into this week with a share of the MVO title on the line? And the kids maybe weren't sure they thought they would be in this position, a couple weeks ago, just with everything going on. But what's the excitement of you, the kids, going into this game? MVO titles on the line, and obviously, playoff seeding is a big part of this as well. But what's the excitement of you and the guys?
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that we're not excited about it. It's Week 10, which is always exciting anyway. It's been a long season, and to still have the opportunities that we have this late into the season to go on the road and potentially get a share of the MVL title to help our playoff seeding. And, some things happen right, along the way, potentially could host a home game, those kind of things. So, you have all those goals that you talk about at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year rather. And most of the time when you get to week 10, for a lot of teams, those things aren't achievable anymore. And, we went through a couple of weeks where we said we're no longer in control of our own destiny. Like, we need some help along the way. And fortunately, that help came last week. And, as soon as we found that score out, we were ready to, go and check up some more boxes. MVL title is going to be a dream for everybody. And, we get that opportunity to go up there this Friday and play for one.
We're really excited to see how this story unfolds and how it finishes in Week 10 this season, Coach. I really appreciate you taking the time, not only tonight or today, but all season long, joining us just to kind of document the Muskie season. But best of luck this Friday. We'll be at the game where we're looking forward to see how this battle for the MVO title, Big School Division, comes together. But I appreciate the time, man.
No problem, Will. You guys have done a great job all year. I really appreciate the opportunity.
So Noah Winland back in action last week, 3 rushing touchdowns in the 37-12 win at Philo. Again, note there, shoulder injury in the right throwing shoulder, out weeks, actually not 8 and 9, it would have been 7 and 8. So my mistake there. That's okay. Whoopsie daisy. But out a couple weeks with the shoulder injury, battled back, still not totally healthy though, as you heard Coach Matt Edwards talk about. But he's battling, and he's doing everything he can for his Muskies as they now find themselves with a chance to have a 3-way share at the MVL Big School Division Championship. But now the Tri-Valley Scotties and head coach Cam West. Well, first of all, last week was such an emotional game for the Scotties because they go into Sheridan and they fall down 10-0 early, and then early third quarter they go down 17-14, and they had a fake punt in the second half that really changed the game. It was 4th and medium-ish, and the play clock was running down. Cam West called a timeout. Wasn't sure I wasn't sure if they were going to roll the offense back out there and run a play. It kind of felt like a big spot in the game where you really needed to kind of change the momentum a little bit. They decided to go fake punt, and Eric Neal ran it perfectly for them and picked up a first down, and then changed the momentum. And of course, Tri-Valley then scored 2 second-half touchdowns, and one from Wallace and one from Sensabaugh, and they won 28-17. And right then and there, they claimed at least a share of the MVL Big School Division Championship. But now, how do you come down from such an emotional game, a rivalry game? You beat your rival Sheridan. How do you come down emotionally, refocus for this John Glenn Muskies team that has been so solid defensively all year? The most points they've allowed in a game is 14 to Sheridan back in the middle of the season. How do you get ready for what they do defensively? And then Sheridan was able to run the ball fairly effectively in the first half of that game against Tri-Valley, and John Glenn runs the ball a lot more than Sheridan does. And so they're going to see a lot of that ground and pound tonight with Winland and Gilcher and other guys that they mix in there. How is Tri-Valley going to stop that defensively? So here is head coach Cam West of the Tri-Valley Scotties talking about coming down emotionally and refocusing on a MVL Big School Division Championship in Week 10 after an emotionally charged rivalry game last week. How do you defend the run that John Glenn has in their offensive arsenal? But here's head coach Cam West of the.
All right, we're here with head coach Cam West of the Tri-Valley Scotties going into Week 10 against John Glenn, and a chance now to claim the MVO title, the Big School Division outright, but at least have a share of it at this point. But Coach, I really appreciate your time joining the show today. I kind of want to touch on last week, obviously, because it was a big game, rivalry, Sheridan. I mean, just talk about the emotion of that game and everything that went into it, because I mean, it was obviously very close early on, and it wasn't really sure, like it was very much hanging in the balance, and then you have that fake punt that kind of changes the game, and from there you kind of took control, and then you were able to pull away in the final minutes of that game. But just talk about the energy, getting the win and a big rivalry game, and now you've set yourself up in a good position in Week 10 for the MVO title.
Yeah, the energy that week we want to stay the same every single week, but it seems like every single year the energy around practice and just the media coverage and everything for Sheridan Week is just different. Um, and I'm just proud of our kids. I mean, we could have very easy. I mean, we're down 10-0, like quick. We were down 17, or we were down in the second half too when they came out and scored right away. We went down 17-14. So it would have been really easy for our kids to just pack it in and kind of get routed there. But our kids, we've been in tough situations this year. We faced adversity. We've gotten beat twice, which you always hate to lose, but I think you learn some things about yourself and your team when you play tough opponents and you don't come out on top. So I'm just super proud of our kids. Like I said, it was an up and down game, and like you mentioned, the fake punt kind of changed the trajectory of the game. I think we gained all the momentum at that point, went down and scored, and everything was just kind of going in our favor. So that's why we work on those things every single week. And I think in my 4 years, we've used that twice, and we work on it every single week. So we just kind of save it for the right time. And we felt like, I guess that was the right time to use it. So I'm just glad it worked.
Now, Max did face a little bit of adversity in the game. He threw a couple interceptions, which he's only thrown 3 picks all year now. But the first one, obviously, it was just off the hands of Sensenbaugh, and so that those plays happen sometimes. But then the other one maybe wasn't the best read. But talk about how he's responded this week in practice to making those mistakes and kind of putting the defense in some bad positions, and now how he's setting himself up this week for success against this John Glenn defense.
Yeah, I think he's responded well. I mean, we spend a lot of time watching film, and I'm going to be honest, we're myself and his quarterback coach, Coach McGee, we're hard on Max. We don't really give him any slack. We feel like he's in a position where he's played enough football that he shouldn't be making some decisions. Like you said, the first one was it was high. He could have thrown it a little better.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been caught, yes.
Sure.
The second one, 100% on him. He should have just threw it out of bounds, and he knows that. And like I said, we're tough on him, and I think Max is a kid that he gets better the harder you are on him. We don't have to baby him. We're pretty straightforward and blunt with him, and I think that makes him a better player. And he's responded this week and had a great week of practice, and we're looking forward to a great game against John Glenn.
Now, your defense held Caden Sheridan to just 7 of 22, 77 yards passing, and so you really limited that pass game that's been so effective all year. But John Glenn's a bit of a different team. They run the football a lot more than they throw it, and their quarterback Noah Winland he's battling through a shoulder injury right now in his throwing shoulder. So he's the amount of times he would throw it, it's probably even less now. They're probably going to rely on the run a whole lot more. So how do you defend John Glenn's offense? Because Sheridan was able to run the ball effectively against you in the first half last week, and so it gave you a little bit of trouble. How do you deal with what John Glenn's going to pose to you this week, because they're going to run it a lot more than Sheridan did?
Yeah, John Glenn always poses a threat. I think John Glenn has a system, and they're really good at what they do, and they don't panic. Every time we play John Glenn, they're running inside zone, outside zone, and they're going to keep running it. And eventually, they're just banking on one guy on defense not doing his job, and they hit a cutback seam where they hit a seam where a guy's not gap sound. So that kind of poses issues, because they're going to continue to do what they do all game, and they always seem to give us some issues running the ball. I think Coach Edwards does a great job, and their staff over there, they do a good job, and they stick to their system. And like you said, with the injury they have at quarterback, the kid's a good runner anyway, so I think he's going to play and he's going to run the ball. And it's something we kind of struggle with quarterback run a little bit, but I think last week should give our guys some confidence defensively. I know our defense can play well. I've seen our guys play well against the Sales and against Clinton Massey. I thought we played well. We had a couple games there in the middle of the season where we just didn't do our job on every single play. But our guys didn't panic. I told them, like, we're a good defense, and I know we can play well. And last week, I think we showed that, and we played pretty well.
Now, you're coming off an emotional week last week with the rivalry, and obviously you've claimed a share of the MVL title, but this week it's another emotional week, because now you have a chance at an outright title win. But if John Glenn were to win, then it'd be a 3-way tie for the title. So obviously, I heard you talking to your guys after the game, like you're trying to teach your kid how to share, but you don't want to share this title. So how do you get you guys just to kind of come down emotionally after a big Sheridan victory to then refocus and go out there and win an MVL Big School Division Championship and just set yourself up for an even better position in the playoffs next week?
Yeah, it's something that we focused on all week. Our focus this week is to finish the job. We started this job in June, really, and our number one goal as a team is to win the MVL. Never at one moment did we talk about sharing the MVL with anyone else. So our focus is to finish the job, make sure the job gets done on Friday, and make sure that we are the only MVL champion. Obviously, John Glenn's a good team, though. I mean, we're going to have to really play well, and our kids know that too. We're not taking anyone lightly. They always seem to cause us issues, and I told the kids last year it doesn't matter. We kind of did what we wanted to last year, but this is a new year. They're a different team. We're a different team, so we just got to stay focused. And we're not worried about the playoffs right now. We are worried about John Glenn in Week 10, and whatever happens after Week 10 happens. We can't control other teams beating other teams and Harvin points and all that stuff, but we can control our attitude and our effort Friday night and try to win an MVL championship outright.
Well, best of luck this Friday, Coach. Go get another MVO title. Get it outright. Don't share it, and we're looking forward to watching the game. But I appreciate the time.
Hey, thank you very much.
Jaden Wallace is the man that the Muskies are going to have to stop tonight. Last week against Sheridan, 28-17 victory, 30 carries, 143 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. And the elements tonight, it's a bit colder. It's in the low 50s, and will probably, I would assume, would drop into the 40s as the game, goes into the second half. There's a chance of some rain as well, so throwing the football may not be as much of an option for either team tonight, and so you might see a heavy dose of the run game from the Scotties and Jaden Wallace. But now I want to take you through some playoff positioning here briefly, and I'm basically just going to read verbatim this article from the Zanesville Times-Recorder and Brandon Hannes. So just take you through some playoff positioning and what could potentially be some playoff matchups for both the Scotties and the Muskies. But currently in Division III in Region 11, Tri-Valley is seeded 8th and John Glenn is 9th. And obviously a win for both teams would improve their seeds, but the Scotties with a win could reach as high as the 5th seed. That's a 14% chance according to Pastor, but being the 6th seed or the 7th seed is more likely, the greater percentage chance of that. Potential opponents could include Buckeye Valley, Marietta, and also a rematch with the Muskies next week in Week 11. So you could end up seeing this Muskies team 2 times in a row and beating a team twice. That is extremely tough to do, and so that would be very interesting if that's the way it shakes out. And for John Glenn, they can move into the top 8 and get a home game if they win here tonight, but with a loss, they're going to fall to probably the 9th or 10th seed, face Bell Fountain, Granville potentially, who could be 10-0 after tonight, and then, like I said, Tri-Valley, and that would just be epic if they faced off again next week. And forget a league title. This is a chance to move on in the tournament to get a state championship. So a lot on the line. But let's take you through some games going on around the area here this evening briefly. We'll start in eastern and northeastern Ohio. So Garaway is at Ridgewood, Talmadge at Copley, Cambridge at St. C. Union Local hosts Barnesville. And I have an error there. Bel-Air and Union Local, just ignore that there. We'll go to the other side. Maysville at Philo, Meadowbrook at West Muskingum, Sheridan at New Lex, Zanesville at Logan, and Ellett at Akron East, who we picked up for the last couple of weeks of the season. And all the teams in blue are the teams that we are covering this year with the Unreal highlights that we release every week starting on Mondays. And I'm not good at graphics and checking things before I put them on here to show you guys. But anyways, that's all right. Now for the games in Central and Western Ohio, let's take you through those as well. We have Centerville at Wayne, Kaufman at Hilliard Bradley, Westerville North at Dublin Scioto, Pickerington North at Gahanna, the game we featured earlier on in the show tonight, Granville at Watkins Memorial, Hamilton Township a chance to go 10-0 at Logan Elm. Heath hosting Johnstown. Hillier-Davidson and Upper Arlington. Jonathan Alder at, I believe it's Tecumseh. I don't know how you say that school's name. I apologize. Westerville Central at New Albany. Marysville at Olentangy, and Olentangy Orange at Olentangy Liberty. So some big games to close out the regular season, folks. This is just unbelievable stuff. But right now, none bigger than the game tonight here at Jack Anderson Stadium. What's at stake? The MVL Big School Division Championship. If Tri-Valley wins, they move to they win the title outright, and they'll be 8-2 on the season, and of course improve playoff positioning. And if John Glenn were to win, it becomes a three-way share of the title, and it would be between the Scotties, the Muskies, and the Generals. So a lot on the line. We're excited to watch, and there's a chance that we could be seeing this game again next week, everybody. This is unbelievable stuff. But thanks so much for joining us here on Stadium Drive Week 10. We're going to keep doing the show in the playoffs, so make sure you leave a comment down below, like it, share it with everybody that you know. Thanks again to our sponsor, Max Effort Muscle, the best tasting protein in the game. But let's get ready for some football here at the Jack, baby. This is great stuff. And also, if you want us to release this Halloween merch that we've got on right here, if you want us to open up a store with Story Rivals merch for Halloween, definitely leave a comment down below, and we'll do it. And we do stuff for schools all the time for their apparel to start every season. But if you want some Storied Rivals stuff, then let us know. Leave a comment down below. But thanks so much for tuning in to Stadium Drive Week 10, and we'll see you in Week 11 when the playoffs start, baby. But let's watch some football here at the Jack, and make sure you follow us on all the socials for updates on the games that you're looking to follow here in Week 10. But take care, and we'll see you in Week 11.